exactly what just happened down in Jacksonville, because they not only signed their quarterback to a long-term deal, but they signed their stadium and their city up for another long tenure as Jacksonville Jaguars. So let's go see what Shad Khan, the owner of the Jaguars, has to say right here with your host, Nick, on Roll Coverage. Let's go.
Hey, I thought it was all over.
Nope. They roll coverage.
We did it again. You two spearheaded it and did it again. First of all, congratulations. How does it feel a day later?
Yeah, obviously the big news is the Jacksonville Jaguars have not only signed quarterback one Trevor Lawrence, former number one pick, and Clemson alumni to an extension, which I think will age quite well given where the league money is headed. I mean, just look at wide receivers at this point. And now, on top of that, they ink a deal for Shad Khan to keep the Jaguars in Jacksonville, therefore eliminating a big question mark with their franchise for years, I felt like, regarding the truth. When will Shad Khan decide to move the Jaguars abroad? He owns quite a bit over in Europe and everything like that, so that made sense for the transition, but obviously for the team, for the city, for the fans, and where the NFL currently stands, it doesn't really make sense. So I'm happy for him to stay in Jacksonville. Hopefully that contract with Trevor Lawrence obviously continues to pay dividends, and hopefully he can get another playoff win this year with the that you guys have honestly built around him. I'm very excited to see what it's going to be like on the field, but regardless, this is smart business moves done by the guy who does it right most of the time.
Pretty awesome.
I think it feels fabulous, and I think, obviously Donna, her team did a lot of the heavy lifting. We've had Mark Lamping here do a lot of heavy lifting, and of course Ron Salem in the city council. So I think
personally, how does it feel if you go back to the day that you were approved and announced as the owner of the Jaguars? That was a momentous day. This in the history of the franchise is a momentous day. Can you compare them?
Well, I mean, they're similar in a lot of ways. I mean, you feel that it's important, it's historic. I think I have a better idea what I'm doing today than I did 12 years ago, and I think more importantly what we need to be sustainable. I think how we can work with the city, which we've done, and how to put a lot of these doubts about Jacksonville to rest. So a lot of that, I think, business and competitive viewpoint, I think, comes together now.
I definitely agree. Again, I'm a Carolina Panthers fan, but I like to cover all the teams. That's why we do this right here on the Roll Coverage. If you're a Jaguars fan, I apologize. Then make sure you're subscribed to check out more videos on this, because I'm very excited to see how he is going to play his hand. Obviously, I haven't done a deep dive into the actual funding that the Jaguars were requesting for the stadium and all that other stuff, the guarantees and such. But I need to go into a little bit more detail. Being a Panthers fan, I did a full breakdown of the Carolina Panthers stadium renovation / soon-to-be new stadium that they're going to do in the next 20, 30 years. So there's a whole dichotomy to it. And not only that, they need to be taking care of locals, investing money back in the infrastructure, investing money in places where locals can actually see it and feel it, as opposed to just lining the pockets. So obviously I'm giving Shad a little bit of credit before I actually see the proposal. But again, I'm just happy that he eliminated, like he said, that question, the uncertainty around the Jaguars.
Madam Mayor, Donna, known you all these years.
Yeah.
Tell me, you're coming up on your 1-year anniversary of being sworn in.
July
a
1st,
year.
yeah.
This is a huge project, and you got it done in the first year. Safe to say you entered office with this being a top priority.
Well, it was a top priority for all of us, and I think that's what was so important. I think we all came into this process looking for yes. And given that I have known the history and watched the way things have happened in the city in the past, I knew that longevity in this was not going to be my friend, so I wanted to try to get it done quickly. And that's the page we were all on, and I'm just grateful we were able to get there.
You've been in this...
Man, that's got to help her when it comes to election time, just in general. The ability that you got it done in a year when some franchises fight for years over pennies in comparison to the total project is absolutely admirable. So good job on the city of Jacksonville.
It's building now for a year, Shad, and there's been a great vibe around this football team since the Miller Electric Center opened. How do you sense that vibe changing now as Trent and Doug and the quarterback have a new building to look forward to? What's that been like?
Well, I think what it means is we have everything here to win, okay? And I think, the city, all the fans, I mean, they've supported the team, and some of our facilities were substandard. That's not the, we have world-class facilities now. So with that comes expectations that we should not shy away from, we need to win.
Let's talk about.
That's a simple and easy answer from an owner, man. I've invested the money. We got world-class facilities where we didn't have it. We got a paid quarterback now. I'm giving Doug Peterson and Trent Baalke the ability to build this team into what they want and giving them the time to develop, but I am expecting results. So I would be excited to see the future in Jacksonville in general, especially if he can keep those two guys together. And of course, Trevor develops.
That world-class facility concept.
Yeah.
You were at the first community huddle last summer.
Yeah.
What did the fans tell you that they wanted to make this the stadium of the future?
Well, Brian, I think a lot of what they talked about kind of resonated because we had done fan surveys before we even got there, okay? So like shade was important, some of the amenities were important, and winning was important, okay? So, and it all came together, but yet, let's be honest, I mean, there were some conflicting or mutually exclusive things, and that's where, Mayor's leadership, I think, has been invaluable to kind of, sort through that. And it gave me a great sense and kind of basically resonated what, frankly, our surveys and pre-planning had shown.
Donna, what did you think the first time?
That's solid that he went and did the due diligence to figure out that information ahead of time. I like that he's listening to the fans and giving them what they want. I wish my owner in Carolina would do the same, but that's a completely separate conversation. More owners need to take a page from his book, build the right facilities, bring in the right guys, and let the coach and the GM build the right team around that quarterback or that star player. So this is being sold to me on a silver platter. Shad, if I was a Jaguars fan, I would be over the moon at this point. But I'm going to let you keep rolling.
You saw the stadium, the design of the stadium in the
I
future.
just thought, wow. It is really an astounding piece of architecture. Right. And I think one of those things that will be a crown jewel for downtown. One of those pieces that will draw people to want to come down here, continue to build down here. The entertainment district, as you know, is going to be the next thing that we take up. I think it's going to really help all of that. Plus, as you know, with this agreement, we have put in place to finish all the parks, the riverfront parks, which I know is really important. But all of that, I think, is going to be a wonderful frame for this beautiful facility.
And we talked about the one-year time frame that you got the deal done. You hired Mike Weinstein, who has a long-standing presence in politics and government and sports here in North Florida. What was his impact like, and what did it mean to have Mike and all of his experience come to the table?
Mike was absolutely amazing. He was the calm in the middle of the storm all the time, but he knew exactly what we wanted. We, at the end of this process, put a lot of pressure on him, and he put a lot of pressure on the team to get it done expediently, and he did a great job. They all did a great job coming together and putting the pieces together. This was a 400-page document, Brian, so this was a big lift. But the fact that Mike and Mark and some members of my team, Darnell, all got in the room with the attorneys and said, okay, we're going to work this out, and we're going to work it out expediently, and we did. And I think that was so good for the city and so good for the Jaguars and the fans.
And can you update?
And the fact that she's being asked about, the speed at which it was done, the quality at which it was done, the fact that the city is already planning extra construction in an entertainment district is good, and I hope funds from this is going towards that. I hope that the renewed contract also continues to have Shad inject money into the community and keep him accountable for things that he has agreed to, is what I'm saying. Being an owner, you need to be involved in the community, so I think we can continue with that. And of course, North Florida, I know his son does a lot with, I think it's AEW. So they're not going anywhere anytime soon. I think they found a great home in Jacksonville, so expect them to be there for a very long time.
Us on the status of the community benefits agreement, because I know that was one of the negotiating points at the end.
Yeah, so there were some council members that had conflicts because of businesses they're involved with that might be doing some work in certain pieces of the agreement. So it was broken apart by the council. I didn't particularly love that, but that's what happened. And so what we were able to pass immediately were those non-conflicted areas, the riverfront parks piece, which will all be funded now.
Thank you. Again, not even a Jacksonville resident, but anything you can do to help out the community with infrastructure, places to safely take their kids, anything like that. I'm 10 out of 10 for, and will always be for. I don't care what they cost. The people are what makes up these cities and what make up these fan bases, so we need to get back to them. So big props to you guys down there in Jacksonville.
And $118 million of what the Jaguars have pledged is in that piece of the agreement. So what we have left to come back with in July, when the council gets back, is the East Side piece, which we're both very committed to, affordable housing citywide, homelessness initiatives, and of course workforce development, which we all know is a big issue in our city when it comes to doing projects like this. I mean, think about what we're going to be doing. We're going to be having this stadium being built, the riverfront. We're working on the Greenway that is a Groundwork Jacksonville project, and it's a lot. So we need that workforce that's going to be able to complete that work. So we're going to be really working on that too.
It's a big.
Hopefully higher paying jobs coming to the city of Jacksonville as well. Again, 10 out of 10. I like the investment, and I like that she said there's a big investment coming from Shad to help facilitate that. So for that reason, again, I'm 10 toes down on this. I like it.
Vision for downtown Jacksonville, and Shad, it's something that you laid out years ago when you first started talking about what was possible. How does the stadium and downtown work together? How does that vision come together?
Well, I think downtown really is anchored by, the stadium. And I think it is really kind of the magnet to attract activities. And also, you want to have a venue where people are living, working, playing. That's how urban renewal happens. And so this will really, it's like planting some big seeds. And, we should see a huge result here down the road.
Well, that Four Seasons isn't going to be too shabby either, having that right down the street. So the fact that Shad has invested so much money in our city should make everybody very confident and very proud, in addition to the fact that we have a 30-year lease, right? Yes.
There you go. There's a perfect answer right there, 30-year lease. I know David Tepper only gave like 10 or 15 for my Carolina Panthers, so 30 years? Yeah, Jacksonville is staying there. They are not the international team unless the NFL forces it, in which case they're going to have to pay that massive fine to the city of Jacksonville. But at the same time, I don't think that's going to happen. I think we'll just get expansion teams at some point. There'll be some protected players. They'll do a quick draft. Some guys will get switched around, and everything will be fine. But, man, that's interesting. That just completely takes them out of the equation. So big ups to them. I like that.
Just to see somebody make that kind of investment saying, I believe in this city. And I think that for people in Jacksonville, Brian, you've been here a long time. People in Jacksonville sometimes can have a bit of an inferiority complex. Yeah. And I think when they see someone with the type of belief in this city that Shad has shown, I think that's a big deal. You
just mentioned it. You've been in this community your whole life. And we've worked together for years on things around the Jaguars.
It's amazing we haven't aged, really.
You look fantastic.
Yeah, right.
Tell me about just how you feel today in terms of professionally, personally, to see the next era. We're talking about 30 years. This is the 30th season. Yeah. Now you're going and looking at the next 30 years. And to have covered it as a journalist and now in the heart of government to be able to take it forward, that has to be very gratifying.
I can't even...
Interesting. I didn't know that. Obviously, there are some people, when I cover a bunch of different teams, I don't know the mayors of all the cities and everything. So that's interesting that she started as a reporter, covered the Jaguars, all this, and now it kind of comes full circle. That is awesome. I really want to hear her response, because that's a really cool wrinkle that should have probably been focused on at the beginning of this, because that would have been a big storyline for me to listen into her thoughts long-term about the team.
Begin to verbalize the pride that I feel. The fact that I had the opportunity to sit on the anchor desk when Duron Cherry gave us the thumbs up and told us we had the team to begin with was such an enormous lift and such a big win for Jacksonville. And this feels like that same kind of a win, to be able to say that we have 30 years to look forward to, and then, as you said, planning what we're going to look like for beyond that. I mean, it's what we want for our kids and our grandkids, and I think that's the exciting part for me. I'm so grateful that I get to play a role in that.
There are smiles all around today, and clearly, just looking at the interaction between you two, this has been a good process. It's taken a year to get it done. Shad, can you comment on working with Mayor Deegan and her administration to get this done?
Well, I mean, I just, I'm a huge fan, obviously, of the mayor, and actions speak louder than words. I think to come in a year ago and say we're going to do all this, it sounds wonderful. To happen is just amazing. And I think, what we're talking here is, using the power of the NFL to really do great things for the city. Right. And we have a platform, for changing social change, for example, and wealth, managing, breaking down the socioeconomic barriers. I mean, for me, I really take pride that arguably one of the higher end developments, the Four Seasons Residence Hotel Marina, is sitting right there, which might be one of the socioeconomically challenged areas, okay? And that is absolutely the formula how you change cities. And the potential, I mean, the day I came here 12 plus years ago was, I can't believe we're not doing more here, And it's been a very glacial pace, quite frankly. But it's like finally, there's a spark and things happen. So, and this is that, that it's all the pent up work, the energy. Finally, you kind of have closure, and now we control the future in a way.
I would say the glacial.
Very measured response, to be honest. And I love that, again, they keep giving back to the community, which is what all of this is for. I understand everybody needs to go out there and get their money. Dudes need to get broken off. I hope everybody in the world gets their payday one day. But the reality of it is that sometimes people don't get that payday. And I like that the city, the franchise, and hopefully a lot of other organizations in the city of Jacksonville are coming together to change those socioeconomic inequalities. I'm sorry. And just continue to revitalize the city. You can't do it by just putting money in rich guys' pockets. You have to put it into the people of the community that are going to pour it back into that community and keep the ball rolling. Normally I do this as a breakdown or something like that. This is kind of more of just a reaction to it, kind of see what Jacksonville is doing. And to be honest, you guys are saying everything right. Regardless of if you're going to actually come through on the promise, right now as an outsider, you would have my vote, 100%.
Pace is going to pick up. I mean, it won't be long before we start seeing construction.
Yes. Right? Well, those cranes are already out there, man. I love seeing those cranes.
I do too. Yeah, count the cranes and you'll see the progress. I think you've said that over the years, Shad. Let's end with this thought and bring it back to the stadium, because we're looking at the big picture. But you've been in amazing stadiums in the NFL and all over the world in your soccer travels. What is it about this stadium that most excites you to see it on opening day 2028?
Well, I think, first of all, it's going to be hard to believe one of the greenest stadiums, okay? So, we're working with the city. We don't want to waste the city's money, and frankly, I don't want to waste my money, okay? So how do we, I think it's absolute genius, with all due modesty. And, I'm architectural buff. I've spent a lot of, I almost became an architect till I found out how much money they made, and I thought engineering, will be better.
I think you chose well.
You see the Roman Colosseum, it's been around 2,000 years. Some of the features of that would work today. So the first thing for us was, how do we get the most bang for the buck? So keeping the parts of the stadium, like the lower bowl, which is in great shape. So there were many, many things. Using the scoreboards. We had worked with the city a few years back. Those scoreboards are still state of the art. Reusing them rather than, spending $120 million getting new. Right. There are many, many things like that. Concrete is one of, you talk about pollution, CO2, one of the more polluters, shall we say. We're reusing a lot of the concrete and bolts. So I think the goal was to have no compromise in a stadium and do it cost-wise, environmentally, the most friendly way you could. And that's what we've accomplished. I don't think there are too many NFL stadiums built going through the design process we did. I mean, we picked 8 world-class architects. We paid them all, okay, good money, to come up with designs that we could use. And then we took the best ideas, we gave them our ideas, got down to 2, paid them again, and came up with a final product and picked one. So it was, how do we use passive cooling instead of air conditioning, okay? Jacksonville, we know how the winds are historically, and how do we turn them to our advantage? How do we cool it solar-wise? The most cost-effective way. We don't have to worry about snow loads and those kind of things with the roof. So I mean, just a multitude of things to come up with a solution which is aesthetically very pleasing, it's going to be a great experience, but was done in the most environmentally responsible way possible.
Donna, you and I can go back to the days in 1994 and 95 leading up to the first Jaguars game, and the excitement, the anticipation. Shad, it feels like that again, doesn't it?
It does feel like that again. It's such an exciting moment and such a hopeful moment for our city. I think we have both for so long been looking for that key in the ignition, right? Because we know what we have. This incredible city on the river, on the ocean, the amenities here, the people. It's waiting for that key in the ignition, and I think this provides that key.
And you've done that. And something that you said yesterday makes so much sense. And I think it's going to be a rallying cry. Don't doubt Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Don't doubt Jacksonville. Love it.
Well, I know there's a lot.
Never doubt Jacksonville.
Never doubt Jacksonville. Thank you so much for your leadership in getting this done on behalf of all the Jaguars fans who want this franchise to be here and this city to become what your vision is for it. Appreciate the effort and excited about the future.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Brian.
Thank you.
A shout out to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the mayor of the city, and of course, everybody involved in the actual process of not only the design, but what will eventually be the execution of the new stadium. Shad is really putting you guys in a great position to succeed. And I think that the focus on sustainability and the focus on reusing things to minimize the cost to not only the city, but to the owner is not only a good thing, but it also reflects better to the people of the city that you're not willing to just waste taxpayer money. Now, in total, I think Shad Khan and the Jacksonville Jaguars will do well. Their division is obviously in trouble, to be honest. You've got CJ Stroud over at the Texans, Anthony Richardson returning for, I guess, technically his first full year since he was hurt last year, and of course Will Levis with the Tennessee Titans. Now, obviously, there's some issues on each team, but there's also some issues here in Jacksonville. Trevor Lawrence needs to take a step forwards, as the owner has with the city, as the city has with the franchise, and all these other things. This year, I'm expecting the Jacksonville Jaguars to most likely miss the playoffs, unfortunately. I do think they could build longer term, but I don't think that an immediate retool and right back into the playoffs is the way to go. So I would expect them to maybe miss the playoffs by 1, or if they do, they're skating in on a wild card, just barely getting in there, bounced in the first game. So Jacksonville still has a long time to build. You guys just got a 30-year extension on that stadium. Shad and the city are intertwined finally. So again, if you're Jacksonville Jaguars, you should be pumped. And again, if you don't follow me, my name is Nick. This is World Coverage. I do breakdowns, I do reactions, I do a ton of stuff for all of the NFL teams and a bunch of other sports, including handball, cricket, and anything USA national team or Olympics related. So make sure you go drop a follow. Make sure you comment on this video. Any suggestions? I definitely take suggestions for videos as well. Otherwise, have a great rest of the day. Peace.